back to another episode of Questions with Crocker with me, Dr. Crocker, and my Shane.
My Shane.
My Shane.
My Shane's here.
My husband, Shane.
I'm here.
Why do you always take a sip of Mountain Dew right before I introduce you?
I take a sip of Mountain Dew every 30 seconds. So
It's just
happens in life.
Just happens. So I probably said my Shane because we just had an exciting anniversary. We've been married how many years?
18.
What was that face?
Exciting?
I meant like we had an anniversary.
We did have an anniversary.
And these days, 18 years is an accomplishment. I think 18 years on top of the fact that I still really like you
Haven't killed me yet.
is an accomplishment.
Haven't woke up paralyzed from my neck down.
Well, okay. So let's just tell people why you say that. It's because we have joked in the past,
I'm not sure this was
just so the authorities know that because I do have access to certain medications that can essentially paralyze somebody, that I could always paralyze Shane and he would wake up missing vital portions of his body. So, but it's never even come close to that. So you're good.
If I come up missing,
you know,
everybody knows.
I just let the cat out of the bag that's what it is. So we did have our anniversary. Some people might say we're lame, but we basically hit a happy hour to save a little bit of money. And then we went to a movie and it actually was really fun.
Yes.
You slept through part of the movie.
I did.
But the part you saw, you liked.
I did.
Which movie did we see?
Deadpool.
And
Wolverine.
Yes. You can't just say Deadpool because Wolverine was a vital part of that movie. And I would suggest anybody who likes either of those actors to go see it because it was really good. And I did not sleep for any part of it for multiple reasons. So, but it was fun. And you and I have always been kind of laid back about anniversaries and things like that. We've taken trips occasionally, but
We're taking a trip next week.
We are taking a trip next week, but that's also because it's your birthday coming up. So our anniversary and your birthday always run together, and you will always be older than me, which is great. We did I posted a picture of us like back in the day in 2006 with our little puppies, our Labradors that we got when we were dating and just first married, and then a picture of us now. And people said, you look like you haven't barely aged. So that was nice.
Those people also legally blind.
I know. I was like, I feel like things have changed a lot. But do you remember when we first got our Labrador puppies?
Yeah.
So we initially, I think I saw a post, right, on my vet school page saying that someone had like labs that were born at like a farm essentially, and the people were trying to find homes for him. So they were posting in the vet student forum because we're all softies. And we had always talked about maybe having a lab. I had been an Aussie person growing up. You had kind of just had a smattering of pets growing up, but nothing like the same breed over and over, right?
Yes. Probably.
So we essentially heard like free lab puppies, and we went to get one Labrador, and we ended up coming home with two. How did that happen?
I have no idea. That is still a mystery we're trying to figure out.
Well, initially I was like, I want to get a female. And then when we showed up and they were all cute and cuddly, and then we started talking about, entertaining each other. So we got two of them, and we ended up having them, I think like 16 years total, which was amazing. And a lot of people will actually caution you for getting litter mates. There's a thing that they say that they can get litter mate syndrome where they always have to be together. They're very like codependent on each other. They can't ever be separated. And I don't really feel like that was ever an issue with ours.
They were never separated.
Well, that's probably true. But I felt like it helped us. I mean, we crate trained them together, but they had separate crates when they got bigger. And they were just very chill, lazy labs. They were the best dogs ever.
And then we have this one.
Miss them.
And then
we got the third one.
And then this one.
It's like the third child. You're like, oh, wait a second. What just happened? Which we're not getting a third child. 2 children. We're good on that. But yes. And he's about to knock over our lights. So we're good. Everything's good. But yes, Labradors have always been kind of our dog that we get. But I think after this one, we'll take a little break.
Mm-hmm.
The other day we walked in and the kids go, oh no, Dad's going to be mad. And I knew right away that he'd eaten something because that's the main reason they'll say that. And we walked in and he's never done this before. That's the bad thing about him is we'll think we're good and then he'll surprise us again. But he had eaten like up all the little cans of cat food that I had gotten for our cat. So they're confined in something. They shouldn't smell. There shouldn't be a reason. But he literally had just chewed, and there's pieces of cat food can everywhere. And like wet cat food. It was disgusting. And then I actually found throw up with like pieces of metal in it. So I've been watching him closely, but he's been fine for 2 days now. So I think he's going to live.
Probably.
I know you're so excited about it. He's kind of a mess. All right. So anniversary, birthday, lots of celebrations. It's been a good, relaxing couple of weeks. Things have been steady at the hospital, the GP hospital. Insane, though, at the ER. Like the summers just are out of control. So we've had a couple interesting cases. We actually have been getting a lot more heat strokes. So in Texas, super hot, and we've been getting several heat strokes a shift, which can be deadly. So have been encouraging people to make sure their pets are only going out when it's like really early and it's not as hot, or really late at night. Or if you have a smush face brachycephalic pet, I would just get an indoor treadmill and don't even walk them outside right now, because that's where we're seeing the most of it, like Frenchies, bulldogs coming in overheated, and then a couple Labradors that have like breathing issues otherwise. So caution with heat stroke right now. And then the other thing we saw the other day, which I want to know if you know what this acronym means. Is it an acronym when you have the letters of something and it means?
I'm a finance guy. English wasn't my forte.
I'm pretty sure it's an acronym, but we had a BDLD case. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's a big dog, little dog case. Do you know what that means?
Sounds like a big dog ate a little dog.
Exactly. Yes. So it's essentially when a really large dog attacks a little dog, bites it, and actually like a lot of times like picks it up, shakes it. And there's really extensive trauma because of the size differences. And then also just because of like how they grabbed him. So a little kind of terrier thing, only 1-year-old dog. He was very cute. And then a huge Great Dane. And the Great Dane bit him and actually punctured like on his chest in one spot and then down on the belly. Fortunately, the chest one did not go all the way through, but the belly ones did and went into the belly. And so there was a discussion initially when you have something that's like a penetrating wound. Do you go in because you need to see like what internal damage has occurred? And initially the owners elected to not go in. They wanted us to monitor and check the PCV. So check and see if the dog was having bleeding issues, check for pain, see if anything did develop with the chest because there'd been trauma to the chest. And so we did that. And the dog actually did okay for like 24 hours, but was having leakage from those openings. So we knew that it was probably penetrated. So we ended up deciding that we needed to, and the owners eventually approved, to go in and do an abdominal exploratory. Now, because of how busy it was going to happen during the day. And then it got really busy and they didn't have the ability to get into the surgery suite and do it because there was other more critical things that were going on. And this dog was still stable. So I come on shift. I'm the overnight. They're like, hey, Crocker, we just need you to like sedate this dog, explore the wounds. They're in the belly, probably take it into surgery, but he's been doing well. But we need to make sure it didn't penetrate any vital organs or the intestines, and also like place a drain because now the belly's contaminated. So I'm like thinking, okay, he's doing well. I mean, he's painful, right? But stable. So I sedate this dog, and I actually had one of our new doctors with us, and we were paired together. They pair like a senior doctor and a junior doctor. And I sedated the dog, and we started to do stuff, and we had checked like a PCV right before. And then during the sedation and cleaning things up, he just started to look a little more pale. And then he started to, I don't know, the blood pressure was getting a little lower than we expected it to be with like anesthesia. And there was just a couple of things that we started to say, why is it all of a sudden like looking very different? So we checked another PCV and it was like dramatically lower. So I don't know if from sedating him and like lowering his blood pressure a little bit, if that shifted something internally or what, but he was essentially starting to like bleed dramatically. The other thing is when we checked his lab work, he was out of platelets. You need platelets to clot. So it was kind of like the perfect storm of we need to go in now and do surgery. So ended up rushing him to emergency surgery, giving him blood transfusions, and went into surgery. And the dog's teeth had penetrated the side and actually like cut the liver. And so the liver was like slowly oozing. And I think what had happened is he had run out of platelets. So all of a sudden it was like really oozing. I mean, his belly was just full of blood. The spleen also had one area kind of oozing. So removed the spleen and then was kind of trying to stop.
You don't need a spleen?
Actually, that's a good question. You don't need a spleen, no. A lot of traumas will cause a spleen to like rip or tear. And if the spleen rips, you have to take it out because it's like the liver. It doesn't like to heal itself. And the spleen basically stores red blood cells for you, but it doesn't provide like any other vital functions. The liver, on the other hand, very vital functions. So I have this new young doctor in there with me, and I'm supposed to like know what to do and have it together. But this liver is just bleeding, and you can't remove an entire liver. Like, it's around a lot of important structures. It has a lot of vascularity. So we ended up using these sponges that help with clotting, and I ended up removing like the most, I guess, lacerated portion of the liver in 2 spots. And we basically closed him up and said, we'll see if he makes it. And the owner was like, let's try.
I'm assuming you took the sponge out of there.
No, actually, that's a really good question. These are surgery sponges. That's what we call them. And they actually help with clotting. And it's like it actually dissolves once it like hits the blood and kind of helps like form a seal. So we left those in there. And I had used the ligature, which like cauterizes and cuts it goes. So we kind of like cauterized the area and left the sponges in there. So that's actually a really good question. And so they're sterile. They're able to stay in there. And then we placed a drain so we could get all the contamination out, okay? So I left that night and I was like, this dog is going to die. Like, I was pretty sure. It was a lot of trauma. He was little. He was bleeding internally. I'd given him blood, but I knew it would only last so long, right? I was shocked he even woke up from surgery. He went home the other day. And it was such a testament to our team that they worked so hard, that we tried so hard for him. And sometimes you go into surgery and you're like, I know what I'm doing. This is like, I know what to expect. This was one of those circumstances where I literally was like, I don't know how this is going to go. And it was a true emergency surgery. Yes. And the fact that he went home is just amazing. And I felt bad because I left and I said, here you go, team, keep him alive, like do your best. And the owner obviously was very invested in his recovery, but they put a picture up on our like work chat of like everyone standing around the dog with the owner holding it, like beaming. And I was just like, this is why we do what we do. Like, a true emergency. This dog would have died if we hadn't done what we did. And it was very cool to have like a younger doctor in there with me to be a part of the process and like see kind of the magic of emergency medicine. So anyways, I just thought I would share that case because it was a awesome case and our team at Veterinary Emergency Group rocked it. So
nice.
Very proud of everyone. All right. So this podcast, I was supposed to say this a lot earlier, Harrison, sorry. But this podcast is called Questions with Crocker because it is based off of questions that people submit to us and you. And we are not experts.
I don't think people really submit questions to me, let's be honest.
They do. The business ones are more for you. And when we've gone to conferences, people have been like, Shane, let me ask you some questions. Love you, man. So you're part of this. You're a team. So basically, people submit questions to us and then we discuss them on here. And sometimes we give advice. Sometimes we just talk about the circumstances. And so you can follow us on any platform. You can submit questions through Instagram, TikTok, any of that. But this is the question. And I'm going to keep it anonymous because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But another practice owner reached out to me and wanted my advice on how to handle a situation. So she said that she had a pet owner and it was a human doctor, but I don't know that how. I think that's kind of important, but not important. So she had a pet owner who had rescued a pet. Okay. And came to her and was getting like the routine stuff done. So heartworm test and then a recheck because the pet had like a condition when it was first rescued, had to go to the emergency hospital. And so she was rechecking it. So she had to take an x-ray, had to do a couple other things. Said the visit went great. But then she gets an email afterwards, which it's always irritating a little bit. Like nothing comes up during the, and then you, and I would say like, it was a little passive aggressive, right? And it was like, thanks for the help, but essentially. And so what this person wanted to know, this pet owner, was they said, I rescued this pet and basically they expected a discount because they had a rescue animal versus like a bought animal, which you still pay sometimes for rescues. And she was like, I don't really know how to respond to this. So I wanted to know your thoughts initially, and then I'll tell you my experience with this and what I would do.
Yes, as a business owner, your vendors won't give you discounts for your products and the people that you pay don't make less hourly, depending on whether it's a purchased animal or a rescue animal. So the fact that people would anticipate getting a discount doesn't make much sense because the veterinary's expenses remain the same,
are set
irrespective. Now if you work with a certain charity or organization, and part of the deal is that you provide discounts to any first time visits or whatever, that's a whole different story. But just to assume that you're getting a discount because it's a rescue is kind of absurd.
That was my initial thought too. Now, part of the story I didn't tell you is that apparently the emergency visit this pet had, like when it was a new rescue, when they took it to the ER, because I believe they were the foster at that point in time, the ER discounted like their services. So they didn't charge for like the emergency fee, and they didn't charge for some of the things associated with the visit.
Is that because they have a relationship with the place?
Yes. So that is my assumption.
The rescue?
Yes. So my experience with this is actually our emergency department has the same thing. We have certain rescues that have sent us their like nonprofit status. So we know that they are actually an established rescue. And if the rescue brings it in, so the fosters bring it in or the rescue, and the rescue is paying for the visit, so not the individual, but the rescue is, then they get a discount. And it's because we've already met with them, contracted with them. They understand exactly the discount they're getting. It's all been pre-worked out, right? So it's not necessarily because it's a rescue animal. It's because it's actually still with the rescue. And we know that they're trying their best to like help these pets and find them homes. So we do a no visit fee, and then they get a certain percentage off. We do the same thing in our general practice hospital. I know you might not know that much about it. It's a decision that I made. But we have two rescues. We have a dog rescue and a cat rescue that we work with, and we firmly believe in their mission. One of them, the dog rescue, works with girls and does a lot with like self-empowerment and self-confidence, and the girls actually work a lot with the rescue dogs. And then the other one is just a great cat rescue that helps a lot of people that are really in need, and cats that have like FIP. So both of those people we actually have written agreements with. This is your discount. This is what services we're going to provide for you at what cost. And then once they're adopted out, and they're no longer under them, then the prices go back to normal for the pet owner. So I think that maybe this person was a little confused because the dog got like discounts at the emergency room. But also, I think it's pretty presumptuous. And I don't know this day and age, how would you keep a business open if you gave discounts to every rescue animal?
Between discounts and tips, I feel like I was still kind of out of control. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe they should ask that question in advance instead of making the assumption, right? You call in to set your appointment. Hey, this is a rescue pet. Do I get any kind of discounts? Well, no, you don't. So then they have to, decide, do they want to continue to go to this vet or call around to somewhere else?
Yeah. And essentially, you hit the nail on the head with like what I told her to respond with. So for my response, I basically told her, you should say, I'm so glad you had a great visit. You should probably reach back out to the rescue that you got the pet from and see if they have anybody that they have agreements with in place already. And not really even address the fact that they're asking you for like a backdated discount, right? But just explain to them essentially that, yes, certain people are partnered with certain people. And this rescue might say, yeah, go to this vet. They give a discount to people who have newly, gotten pets from us, and that's who you should use. But I mean, 80% of the pets that I see these days are rescues. And if I had to give a discount to every single rescue, and people call everything a rescue, right? Yep. Like they find it on the side of the street, their neighbor gives it to them.
Which in a way, they're kind of rescuing an animal.
Exactly.
But I get that.
Exactly. But, and I know I'm probably going to get hate for this, but to automatically assume because you chose as an individual to go get a pet, get a rescue, find a stray, that then us as veterinarians and vet professionals have to incur like a loss of revenue because of that, it kind of exemplifies a lot of what the problem is with our industry these days. I appreciate and love that people are willing to care for these pets and like willing to take them on. However, if you do that, it's just like buying a car or getting a used car. you still have to go and pay for the oil to be changed. You have to go and do things. And you can't say, well, I got this car and it was going to go to the scrap heap and it's not anymore, so I want a discount. Like, that's not how it works. And I don't know if people don't see our industry as a business and the fact that we actually have to, like you said, pay for things and do things. But I think it gets a little frustrating sometimes that there is a general feeling from the public that veterinary businesses should not make as much money and should essentially lose money on things because the person or the pet owner had good intentions.
I don't know if it's that or if it's people are just looking for discounts across the board these days on everything, I feel like.
Because life is so expensive.
Yeah, just you always make the assumption that you need something, right? And I shouldn't say everybody. I'm trying to figure out how to word this.
There's no good way to word this.
Yeah, there's some people that are always asking for discounts or always asking for a way around paying the full price, right? And sometimes it's just personalities.
And I think maybe people that come from the human side of healthcare,
they don't discount anything.
They discount nothing, no, but they also don't pay.
I'll say that. I mean, there are doctors that deal with, underprivileged and things like that, and they give back and they do it as a form of charity, right?
Yes.
Which is the same thing you do when you work with these certain organizations that you believe in and you believe in their what they're doing. So you provide charity and do it at a discount. So,
and I think a majority of veterinary hospitals, like if you, like you said, you're calling around and asking and looking for discount, I think a majority give discounts based off of people being senior citizens or first responders or teachers, or they might say for your first visit, you get a discount, or yes, they might say we work with that rescue and, your spay or neuter is reduced. A lot of rescues will, have a partnership for that because they want all the animals to be fixed and not to contribute to the overpopulation problem. Population problem, yes. But like you said, to come and have a visit and spend time with the vet and then circle back and say, well, I actually felt like it was maybe too expensive. And because I have a rescue, I kind of expected a discount, and not set that up on the front end, I think is the more frustrating part. And it just...
as a veterinary practice owner, I wouldn't lose sleep over that.
No.
I would respond the same way you did. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Reach out to the rescue and see if they work with somebody. We'd love to continue to serve you if you need, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even address the discount piece, and they're probably not a good long-term customer for you in the future.
And that's what I said. I said, I wouldn't work too hard to try to maintain this relationship because your model is not set up to be low-cost rescue oriented, which is okay. There's different levels of veterinarians for different people. But there has become more prevalent, like the feeling in the animal world of, breeders and bought pets versus adopted rescue pets, and adopt don't shop is like, used. And if you at all, promote responsible breeding, which people say there's no such thing as responsible breeding, like it's just almost as bad as the political world in
I'll tell
the
you
country
right now, I'm about
right now.
to shut down any, whatever it's called, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok.
I know, like everything you see
all
out
the
there
social media stuff.
It's crazy. And, there's probably going to be people that will listen to snippets of this podcast and will make assumptions over like what we're saying. And I just want to make it like clear as day to try to prevent that as much as possible. We are not saying that rescuing pets is not important and valuable. There's way too many pets in the shelter. There's too many senior pets that need good homes. There is a real need for people to foster, to rescue. And these organizations that are doing it and doing it really well, I see them 24 hours a day in the ER. They are working so hard and they are not getting the praise and the money that they should get, right? But on the flip side, we're working really hard too in veterinary medicine. And I can't look at different people and say, oh, well, you're a good person, you do this, so I'll do this for you, but I won't do this for other people. And it's the exact same as people coming in
want you to support the local schools or the band or the sports team, you can't write checks to all those organizations. It's impossible. You'll close the doors. You have to early on set a budget and say, look, I'm going to give, X back this year.
Mm-hmm.
And here are the things that, touch me and I want to, do. And you have to stick with that.
Yeah. And you have to be, when I have people, I know some veterinarians that say they don't work with rescues. Like they won't do it because there are some that their expectations for the pets, like the things that they'll put money into to try to save and do, it is really hard.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't align with
your values, right? But I think that you can do it in a very intentional way. And like I said, we only partner with certain people and there is a signed agreement like in place that says this is the exact discount you get for these things and everything is pre-agreed on and they don't get appointment spots. They have to drop off only. I have one person to communicate with. Like there's very simple things you can do to make it where you feel like you're still giving back as a veterinarian, but you also don't feel taken advantage of in a way. And I think the harder thing for this person specifically was the person came, they had a great visit, it was good, and then you get the feedback. Well, I expected a discount.
Yeah, it's not like they had some sticker shock.
Yes.
When they hit the front lobby and
yes,
instead of saying something there, they went back and were
wrote an email.
Warriors.
Yes, which is common. So hopefully the advice I gave helped her.
And maybe it was a very nice email. We don't know.
Oh, no, I saw like what they wrote.
Was it a nice email or was it?
It was like, I would say a little passive aggressive. I mean, it wasn't straight up mean, right? But it was like, well, I expected this and let's call me so we can discuss it, but a very like, I expect you to make this right.
The next question is, do they know this individual?
No, it was a first time client.
Okay. Because I could see this in small town where you have some people that would call and say, look, I expected you to do this because we've known each other or you knew I was doing this.
I mean, that's
rescuing.
Essentially the reason that I don't have a vet practice back in your hometown. Because everyone knows everyone. And if I worked there, they'd be like, oh, well, I went to high school with the Crockers and I babysat Shane growing up. And, can you help us out?
I don't think they all talk like that. But
oh, that's not the Louisiana accent.
I don't think
if you're from Louisiana, don't be offended by me, please. All right. So hopefully that helps. And I guess the take home that I want people to know is, one, if you have a rescue animal and funds are tight, there are definitely veterinarians and organizations that help and like work specifically with certain rescues. So ask the people that you got the pet from if there's anyone they're partnered with. And then if on the veterinary side, you feel the need to give back and you want to try to do something, just do it very intentionally so you can still take care of your team and you can take care of your business.
And we think it's important to give back.
Yes, 100%.
But don't close your doors and have people that rely on you to provide for their family and put a roof over their head and food on the table.
Yeah.
Don't compromise that because that doesn't work either.
You can't, and it's a slippery slope. Like once you start doing it, it's really hard to back it up. And these days, with the price hikes that the companies are putting on us and how expensive the world is, you cannot afford to do it, essentially. So, all right, hopefully that helped.
Next week will be a political podcast.
We are absolutely not doing this is like as close as I'm going to touch a controversial subject until I think after November. I feel like right now the world is like...
It's very tense.
Yes, and it's waiting to be like something to go off, and I don't want to be a trigger for anybody or anything. So hopefully that helps somebody. If you have additional questions, you can reach out to us on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook at Questions with Crocker.
And if you have a different opinion.
Yes, we would love to hear it.
Yes.
I, however, would love to hear it as a direct message and not a rant on my comments on any of my posts.
Very true.
And you also can watch us on YouTube if you would prefer that. We appreciate you. And if you want to leave a question or a review, that would be even more appreciated. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for listening.